Hi dear students, this is the third part of the sixth module of the subject ME 206 Fluid Machinery. In the last part we have we have discussed about the working of the centrifugal compressors, as well as we have seen different equations used in the field of centrifugal compressors. Now based on first two presentation, we will be discussing some numerical problems in this presentation. So we will start with the problem. First one, a centrifugal compressor running at 1500 rpm has internal and external diameters of the impellers as 250 mm and 500 mm respectively. The blade angle at inlet and outlet are 18 degree and 40 degree respectively. The air enters the impeller radially. Determine the work done by the compressor per kilogram of air and degree of reaction. So, in the question, look at what are the given quantities. First, it is given that centrifugal compressor is running at 1500 rpm. So, N is given as 1500 rpm. Internal and external diameters of the impeller. So, internal diameter, that is D1, that is 250 mm, that is 0.25 meter, and external diameter is 0.5 meter, 500 mm, 0.5 meter. See, the lower value will be the internal diameter and higher value will be the external diameter in the case of the centrifugal compressors. The blade angle at inlet, that is theta equal to 18 degree, and blade angle at outlet, that is equal to phi equal to 40 degree. Directly it is given. The air enters the impeller radially. This sentence has very important meaning. If the air enters radially, what happens is VW1 usually equal to 0, as well as VF1 always will be equal to VF2 if there is no other losses. Okay. Determine the work done by the compressor per kilogram of air and degree of reaction. These are the two quantities that we have to identify. First one is work done by the compressor per kilogram. Actually, work done per second and work done per kilogram is the difference is work done per second divided by total mass flow rate. You will get the work done per kilogram per second. Okay. So the general equation. In the general equation, if mass is multiplied, then you will get work done per second. If divided by mass, then you will get work done per kilogram. Anyway, while doing, you will have a clear idea. So N is equal to, all these are the given quantities, and since radially entry VW1 equals 0, and diameter and N is given, in that case you can find out the blade tip velocity U1 equal to pi dn by 60. Pi into 0.25 into 1500 by 60, that is equal to 19.63 meter per second. Similarly, you can calculate U2 also, U2 pi d2n by 60, and you got it as 39.27 meter per second. Now we have to draw the velocity triangle. This is the velocity triangle. Remember, the velocity triangle is same as that of the centrifugal pump. The inlet is radial, so that means here we will have a right angular triangle as the inlet velocity triangle, and V1 will be perpendicular to this tangent at the inlet. So this dot line is the tangent at the inlet, and V1 will be perpendicular. That is the meaning of radial inlet. So since V1 is radial, so it won't have any horizontal component. So VW1 is actually the horizontal component of V1. So since V1 is perpendicular to this tangent, so VW1 equal to 0. That means alpha will be 90 degree. And since it is vertical, this is also the flow component VF1. So V1 equal to VF1. This is the condition that we have got. So this quantity is U1, blade tip velocity at inlet, and VR1 is the relative velocity at inlet, and this angle is theta. Now coming to the outlet velocity triangle, water will be flowing through this blade, and the tendency of the water or the relative velocity will have the same direction tangential to this blade along the flow. So this is the relative velocity direction, but actual velocity, since blade is moving in the opposite direction, V2 will be along this direction. So this is VR2 direction, this is V2 direction. The closing edge between V2 and VR2 will be U2. So this entire length is U2. VR2 closing side of V2 and U2. Here the closing side of VR1 and V1 is U1. You can see this is U1 and this one is U2. The construction of the velocity triangles already we have discussed in the first two modules, and in the third module already we have done a lot of problem based on the centrifugal compressors also. So this is familiar to you, I think. So this one is blade angle at outlet, so phi, and this one is beta, and the component of V2 along the horizontal direction is VW2. So V2, the horizontal component of V2 is this one, this small distance, that is VW2. We know that this is U2 and this small distance is VW2. So the remaining this distance will be U2 minus VW2. Here it is, what written is wrong. Actually it is U2 minus VW2. Make the correction while doing in the note. Okay. So this vertical component is VF2. Vertical component of V2 is VF2. horizontal component VW2 and vertical component is VF2. Since radial inlet VF and no other loss is mentioned, VF1 equal to VF2. So from now from the inlet velocity triangle tan theta equal to opposite by adjacent. So Vf1 by u1 or v1 by u1 Vf. So we want to find out Vf1, that's why I am taking this Vf1. So tan theta equal to Vf1 by u1. u1 value already we got. Now from that equation we can find out the value of Vf1 since theta value is 18 degree. So tan 18 equal to Vf1 by u1. So Vf1 equal to tan 18 into u1, that is 19.63. So you got Vf1 equal to 6.38 meter per second. Since radial flow Vf1 equal to Vf2, therefore I can take Vf2 also as 6.38 meter per second. Now I got this quantity Vf2. Now moving on to the outlet velocity triangle, I know this Vf2 value now I got 5. This angle is given as 40 degree. So I can from this I can identify this relation u2 minus vw2 I can identify. Now tan phi equal to Vf2 by u2 minus vw2. So tan phi equal to Vf2 by u2 minus vw2. In this tan phi we can identify tan of 40 degree, that is known value. Vf2 we already got, u2 also is known to us, so only unknown is vw2. So we can identify the vw2 and by calculating we got vw2 equal to 31.66 meter per second. Now we want to find out the work done per second per unit kilogram or unit mass. Work done per kilogram we want to identify. So the equation to calculate Euler equation to calculate the work done per kilogram is vw2 u2. Why using this equation is we are identifying all the quantities from the velocity triangles and nothing is specifically mentioned. So we will go for this equation, work done per kilogram equal to vw2 u2. If m into vw2 u2 we are calculating, then that is work done per second. If m into vw2 u2 by m, so m and m cancel, that is work done per kilogram. So work done per kilogram is vw2 u2, vw2 value you got, u2 value also you got. Finally work done per kilogram you got is 1243.2 watt per kilogram or 1.24 kilowatt per kilogram. That is the work done per kilogram. Now the next one we want to identify is degree of reaction. It is represented by the term R, that is equal to 1 minus vw2 by 2u2. That is the equation to calculate the degree of reaction. I think I have forgot to explain this term while covering the theory part. Anyway, you just refer what is degree of reaction in the case of the centrifugal compressors, and for doing problem only this equation is required, that is degree of reaction R is equal to 1 minus vw2 divided by 2u2. That is the equation. vw2 value is known, u2 value is known to you. So on substitution you will get degree of reaction R is equal to 59.7%. So that's all about the first problem. Now the second problem is a centrifugal compressor has a compression ratio of 4:1. That is P2 by P1 equal to 4:1. The isentropic efficiency is 88%. See here isentropic efficiency is given here. When running at 14,000 rpm, so N is given and including air at 25 degrees Celsius. That means air is taken into the compressor at a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. That is, this is the inlet temperature T1. T1 is 25 degrees Celsius. We can convert it into Kelvin by adding 273. So finally we will get T1 equal to 298 Kelvin. Curved Weinstein inlet gives the air a pre-whirl of 18 degree. This term is very important. Pre-whirl of 18 degree to the axial direction. And also this also is important. Pre-whirl of 18 degree to the axial direction at all radii, and the mean diameter of the eye is 245 mm. This is very important. Pre-whirl of 18 degrees there, and that 18 degrees with the axial direction. Okay. So I will explain that term while drawing the velocity triangle. With the velocity triangle I can explain it better. So in the next slide I will explain. So mean diameter of the eye is 245 mm. Eye means inlet of the impeller. So D1 is 245 mm, 0.245 meter. Absolute air velocity at inlet is 120 meter per second. That is V1 equal to 120 meter per second. And impeller tip diameter is 580 mm. Tip diameter of the impeller means outer diameter of the impeller, that is D2, that is equal to 0.58 meter. We want to calculate the slip factor. Okay. Now the given quantities are, as I have already told, P2 by P1 is given as 4. Isentropic efficiency is equal to 0.88, N is equal to 14,000 rpm, T1 equal to 25 degree, that is equal to 298 Kelvin, D1 equal to 0.25 meter, V1 equal to 120 meter per second, D2 equal to 0.58 meter. Now a pre-whirl of 18 degree to the axial direction. So if preval is there, that means VW1 not equal to 0. So some VW1 quantity will be there. So usually here at the inlet we will have a right triangle, this much portion only. So if VW1 is there, preval is there, VW1 will be along this direction. So VW1 I have taken towards the right. From there only now the direction of the V1 is along this direction, since the horizontal component of V1 is VW1. So if this is VW1, V1 should be along this direction. Now preval is 18 degree and it is making that 18 degree with axial direction. This is the axial direction. This perpendicular to this tangent is the axial direction. So along the axial direction means 18 degrees with axial direction. So this angle is 18 degree. That is angle made by V1 with VF1. That angle is 18 degree. If instead of preval of 18 degree to the axial direction, sometimes it can be given like this: preval of 18 degree or 30 degree, 20 degree, something like that. Whatever may be the quantity, 20 degree to the tangential direction. If it is instead of axial direction, it is given as tangential direction, then you have to take the angle between V1 and this tangent as that angle. If this angle has to be taken as 20 degree, or this angle will be same to this angle. So V1 with the horizontal, that angle will be the preval angle. But here it is given the preval is with the axial direction. So this angle is 18 degree. For the clarity, I have drawn it again here. Here you will have a clear idea. This is VR1, this is V1. The closing edge between VR1 and V1 is U1. So this entire term is U1. The horizontal component of V1 is VW1, so this is VW1, and vertical component is VF1, so this is VF1. And this angle is 18 degrees, since preval is to the axial direction, 18 degree to the axial direction, so this angle is 18 degree. Okay, now that's all about the inlet velocity triangle. Now moving on to the outer velocity triangle, as usual, this is V2, this is VR2, this is beta, this is phi, and this much quantity is VF2. And this is VW2, and the entire quantity closing between V2 and VR2 is U2, and this is U2 minus VW2. All are known to you, already you know how to construct the velocity triangles, same as that of the centrifugal pump. So from the inlet velocity triangle, we have VW1 equal to V1 sine 18 degree. See, this is 18 degree, so sine 18 equal to opposite by hypotenuse, that is equal to VW1 by V1. So sine 18 equal to VW1 by V1. From that you will get VW1 equal to V1 sine 80. V1 is 120 meter per second. Sine 18 you can calculate from the calculator. So using that you got VW1. You will get your VW1 equal to 37.08 meter per second. Now since diameter and speed at the inlet is given, you can calculate U1 equal to pi d1 n by 60, and you got it as 179.6 meter per second. And U2 diameter d2 is given, n is also known, so U2 will be equal to 425.16 meter per second. Now assuming work factor equal to 1. Since in this problem there is no work factor given, so I am assuming work factor equal to 1. So what is the advantage of assuming work factor equal to 1 is we can equate the both work required, actual work required will be equal to Euler work required or impeller work required. So both we can equate. The actual work required is per unit kilogram, it is Cp T02 minus T01 or Cp T2 minus T1. First one was in terms of stagnation condition, and second equation was in terms of static condition. And the Euler equation or impeller work required is actually from the velocity triangle equation, that is VW2 U2. Here since VW1 is there, so the equation for the work done per kilogram is VW2 U2 minus VW1 U1. If you want to find out the work done per second, then only you have to do is multiply it with mass flow rate m dot into VW2 U2 minus VW1 U1. That will be the work done per second. In the other side also, instead of Cp T02 minus T01, you have to write m dot into Cp T02 minus T01 or m dot into Cp T2 minus T1. That is the only difference. Here we are talking about the work done per unit mass or work done per kilogram. Now since the work factor is assumed as 0, we will get VW2 U2 minus VW1 U1 equal to Cp into T2 minus T1. See, here I am taking the static quantities. Since we know the static quantity T1 already is known to us, if we can somehow identify T2, then it will be easy to substitute in this equation. So that's why I have used this relation, VW2 minus VW1 U1 equal to Cp into T2 minus T1. And one more thing you can do is, if you can identify T1 and T2, then you can find the T01, T02, etc. from the isentropic relation like this one. Using this relation, you can find other quantities also. That is also possible. But if static quantities are given and nothing is specifically mentioned, you can use the work equation of Cp into T2 minus T1. So actual work input equal to this much. Okay. So once we know the value of T2, we can calculate, whatever we got is VW1 value we got, we have to identify the VW2 value, then only we can do something. So my aim is to identify the VW2. For that I am equating using this equation. In this U1, VW1, U2 is known, VW2 unknown, but here T2 is also unknown. For that I am using the isentropic relation. Isentropic relation equal to, I have told isentropic efficiency also has two relation, one in terms of the stagnation properties and the other one in terms of the static properties. So this is the isentropic process and actual process. 1 2 is the actual process and 1 2 dash is the isentropic process. Now TS diagram, this is the TS diagram. So from this relation we have isentropic efficiency equal to T2 dash minus T1 by T2 minus T1. That is isentropic work done divided by the actual work done, T2 dash minus T1 divided by T2 minus T1, that is equal to 0.88. So now if we know T2 dash, now T2 can be identified. So for that I am using the isentropic relation connecting temperature and pressure for an isentropic process, that is T2 dash by T1 equal to P2 dash by P1 all raised to gamma minus 1 by gamma. This equation is applicable for any process. This equation is applicable for between any process in the if the process is isentropic. So T2 is the 2 dash is the final process and 1 is the initial. So T2 dash minus divided by T1 equal to P2 dash divided by P1 all raised to gamma minus 1 by gamma. So as I have already told, P2 dash will be equal to P2 since 2 dash and 2 both are lying on the same isobaric line, constant pressure line. So P2 dash will be equal to P2. So I am replacing this P2 dash by P2. So T2 dash by T1 equal to P2 by P1 all raised to gamma minus 1 by gamma. P2 by P1 already given us 4. So this right hand side entire term is known to us. Only unknown quantity is T2 dash, T1 is 298. From this you will get T2 dash equal to 442.83 Kelvin. And remember, if in the problem with air as the working fluid, if gamma value is not given, then you can take gamma equal to 1.4. Sometimes gamma value will be given in the problem. In that case, you have to choose that value only. Like 1.3 or 1.35 something is given, then gamma value you have to take it as that value. Otherwise, if nothing is mentioned, gamma you can take it as 1.4 for air. So T2 dash you got as 442.83 Kelvin. Now from equation 2, that is from this equation, substituting for T2 dash you will get the T2. So T2 minus T1 equal to T2 minus T1 equal to T2 dash minus T1 by 0.88, and from that you will get the value of T2. T2 minus T1 equal to 164.57 you got. And now from equation 1, that is from this equation, first equation, VW2 U2 minus VW1 Cp into T2 minus T1. Now you got T2 minus T1, you already got it as 164.57. Cp value, Cp is for air, Cp value for air is 1.005 kilojoule per kilogram Kelvin. See, it is in kilojoule per kilogram Kelvin. So you have to convert it into SI unit. So the SI unit is Cp of air is 1005, that is 1005 joule per kilogram Kelvin. Always multiply, use that value for Cp, that is SI unit, 1005 joule per kilogram Kelvin. Sometimes in the problem you will be given with that data Cp equal to 1.005 kilojoule. So in that case you convert that kilojoule into joule. Okay. Now then only the equation will be correct. All other quantities are in the SI unit. So substituting for Cp, T2 minus T1, VW1, U1 and U2, you will get the value of VW2. Now VW2 into 425.16 kilo minus 37.08 into 179.6 equal to 1005 into 164.57. So you got VW2 equal to 404.08 meter per second. Now slip factor is defined as VW2 by U2. So VW2 value you got just this one, and U2 value already you got. Now taking the ratio, you will get slip factor equal to 0.95 or 95% is the slip factor. Okay. Now the last problem. A centrifugal compressor draws in air at a temperature of 27 degrees Celsius. So inlet temperature is 27 degrees Celsius, running at 18,000 rpm. So N is equal to 18,000 rpm. The outer diameter of the blade tip is 550 mm. So D2 equal to 0.55 meter. and slip factor. See, slip factor is given as 0.82 and isentropic total head efficiency equal to 0.76. See, here it is given as isentropic total head efficiency. Actually, if it is given like this means efficiency, isentropic efficiency is to be identified in terms of the total head, that is T02, this equation. T02 dash minus T01 by T02 minus T01, that equation we have to use, but no problem if you are using any equation, whichever is convenient you can go for that equation, that is better. So calculate the first one you have to calculate the temperature rise of the air passing through the compressor. So difference in temperature you have to identify first. T2 minus T1 you have to find out. Then second quantity is the static pressure ratio, P2 by P1 you have to identify. Assume the velocities of air at inlet and outlet is same. So this is an important mentioning here. Assume the velocity of air at inlet and outlet is same. So V1 equal to V2. It is directly given V1 equal to V2 here. Take Cp is equal to 1.005 kilojoule per kilogram C. Here it is Cp is given in kilojoule per kilogram Kelvin. While substituting you have to convert it into joule per kilogram Kelvin by multiplying 1000. Now given quantities are T1 equal to 300 Kelvin, Cp equal to 1.005 kilojoule per kilogram Kelvin, that is equal to 1005 joule per kilogram Kelvin. N is equal to 18,000 rpm, D2 equal to 0.55 meter, and slip factor is given as 0.82. Slip factor means Vw2 by U2. Okay, so U2, since diameter and speed is given, we can calculate U2 equal to pi d2n by 60, that is equal to 518.36 meter per second. So from this you will get, now substituting for U2 in this slip factor equation, you will get the value of Vw2. Now Vw2 equal to slip factor into U2, that is equal to 0.82 into 518.36, that is equal to 425.05 meter per second. Now assuming work factor is equal to 1, we see here there is no velocity work component at inlet with radial, assuming radial flow, Vw1 equal to 0. So Vw2 work factor is equal to, assuming work factor equal to 1, Vw2 equal to Cp into T2 minus T1. Here I am using the equation in terms of the static properties to calculate the actual work required for the compression, that is Cp into T2 minus T1. Here it is Vw2 U2. So Vw2 is known, U2 is known. Substituting for Cp equal to 1005, T2 minus T1, you will get directly the T2 minus T1. This is the first one asked, that is difference in temperature. So T2 minus T1 equal to 219.23 Kelvin, that is first answer. Now isentropic efficiency is given as T2 dash minus T1 by T2 minus T1. So it is given as 76%. So 0.76 equal to T2 dash minus T1 value we know, T2 value, T2 minus T1. This entire quantity we got it here as 219.23 Kelvin. So I am substituting here. So T2 dash equal to 466.6 Kelvin you got. Now from the temperature and pressure relation for the isentropic process, we have T2 dash by T1 equal to P2, actually it is P2 dash by P1 all raised to gamma minus 1 by gamma, but P2 dash equal to P2, therefore I am writing P2 by P1 all raised to gamma minus 1. So T2 dash was 466.6, T1 is 300, P2 by P1 we don't know, that is the second quantity we have to identify. So from this relation we will get P2 by P1 equal to 4.69, that is the pressure ratio. So that is all about the problems related to centrifugal compressors. A lot of problems are have been done in the text and all. Please refer text for the more numerical problems, and please try to solve maximum problems, then only you will have an idea about the topic. Okay, thank you.